Hey y'all, welcome to Paige's Perspective, where I help you find your inner strength to cope with life. You ever notice how some people just cannot stand silence? Like the second things get quiet, they might be reaching for their phone or flipping on the TV, scrolling through social media, anything to avoid just being still. Maybe that's you. Maybe when you get in the car, you need music or a podcast playing immediately because the quiet feels wrong or uncomfortable. Or maybe when you're home alone, you need background noise, even if you're not really paying attention to it. Why is that? Why is it so damn hard to just sit in silence? I'll tell you why. Because silence forces us to face ourselves. It strips away distractions. And for a lot of people, that's terrifying. A lot of people think they just don't like silence because it's boring, but that's not necessarily the case. Silence isn't boring, it's revealing. The second things get quiet, all the stuff that you've been pushing down starts creeping up. Thoughts you don't want to think about, emotions you haven't processed. Maybe there are some regrets, fears, unresolved grief, just sitting there waiting for you to notice them. But here's the kicker. Most of us have trained ourselves to drown that out. We keep ourselves busy. We keep the noise going. We stay constantly entertained, so we never have to sit in the discomfort. This is why people reach for their phones before their feet even hit the floor in the morning. So it's why so many of us can't go to the bathroom without scrolling. I do this. I think we all kind of do this. It may be something that I need to work on, but it's why there's always a TV on in the background, why people fill every moment of their day with something, because the second you stop, the second the noise fades, you're alone with you. And that's not always a comfortable place to be. Now, if you've been through some real shit, which a lot of our listeners have, hell, I think a lot of people in the universe have been through some real shit. Addiction, betrayal, trauma, chronic stress. Silence isn't just uncomfortable, okay? It can feel physically unbearable. If your nervous system has been stuck in survival mode for years, sitting in silence doesn't feel like peace. It actually feels like a trap. It is very uncomfortable. When you're used to living in chaos, when your body has been wired for fight or flight, silence can make you feel restless, like something bad is about to happen. That impending doom feeling. Anxiety, you'll feel anxious, like you need to be doing something or else you're failing. Maybe you feel panicked because your brain is trained to expect danger when things get quiet. And listen, this isn't because you're broken and you're not weak because of this. This is because your body learned to associate silence with something bad. Maybe silence meant getting the cold shoulder from somebody who was supposed to love you. Maybe silence meant the calm before the next storm, the next disaster, before the next fight, the next lie, the next time everything fell apart, the next relapse. Maybe silence meant feeling completely alone with no one to back you up. If that's been your experience, no wonder silence doesn't feel safe. So when I began meditating, it was very, very uncomfortable for me. And I had all of these thoughts and feelings come up. It was almost panicky. I remember my heart racing. I just felt very uncomfortable. I felt like I wanted to run away. But I continued practicing, and now sitting in silence is actually a coping mechanism for me. I'll drive with no radio. I learned to be okay with this when I was a young adult because my radio got stolen out of my car and we didn't have any money to fix it. So I drove to work in silence for probably 6 months-ish. I was forced to learn how to sit in silence. But later on, when I was really struggling because of my nervous system and all the things that have happened within my life, it was hard to sit in silence. But working through it was a really powerful step within my own healing. And I'll give you some tips on where to start with this in a bit. You can rewire your system. Like your nervous system is not set in stone. It can learn new things, just like our brain. Just like it learned to fear silence, it can also learn to trust again. And that is fucking powerful because when you own your silence, you take back control. So let's go deeper. What are you really afraid of? Because if silence makes you feel uneasy, I want you to ask yourself, what am I actually afraid of? Are you afraid of what you might hear if you actually let your thoughts settle? Are you afraid of the truth you've been avoiding? Are you afraid of feeling lonely? Because that's real. Silence has a way of exposing things we don't want to deal with. If you've been neglecting yourself, silence reminds you of that. If you've been suppressing your emotions, silence lets them come to the surface. If you've been avoiding making a hard decision, silence makes it harder to ignore. That's why we run. That's why we fill our time with distraction, so we don't have to deal with the fact that we're miserable or grieving or stuck or unsure of who we are outside of the chaos. But here's the thing, ignoring it doesn't make it go away. It just means it's going to show up in other ways, just like it did for me. Anxiety that never really settles, exhaustion that never seems to go away, restlessness, anger, burnout, the way that you were going to express yourself to those that you love, it's all going to come out in ways that are very uncomfortable for you. And at some point, you have to stop running from yourself and sit in silence. So how do we make silence feel safer? If sitting in silence sends you in a panic, you're not failing. It just means you haven't built that muscle yet. We have to train our brains. We have to train our nervous systems. We have to train our bodies to do things. It's just like working out. You're not going to immediately feel great as soon as you start a new workout. You have to build the muscle up in order to become stronger. The same goes with sitting in silence. You start small. If 5 minutes of silence feels like too much, start with 2 minutes. Sit in your car before going inside. Take a few moments before bed. Just pause. No distractions. Just sit. Breathe through it. When you feel that discomfort creep in, focus on your breathing. Deep breaths in, slow breaths out. This tells your nervous system, hey, we're safe here. We're okay. Your breathing is very, very powerful, guys. Let the thoughts come and go. Your brain is going to throw thoughts at you. Let them pass. You don't have to engage with all of them. Think of them like cars on a road and just let them drive by. I was doing a guided meditation once, and it taught me to think of them as clouds just passing by. They're there and then they're going by. Try gentle movement. If stillness is too much, start with quiet moving. Like go for a slow walk, stretch, rocking in a rocking chair. That feels really nice. Sometimes your body needs to move before it can be still. And then use soft sounds instead of silence. If complete silence feels completely overwhelming for you, start with soft nature sounds, instrumental music, or even some white noise, then slowly lower the volume over time. I do like to have some nature sounds going on in the background during the day when I'm doing my work, or I like instrumental music as well. It helps with some things, but sometimes I like silence. Like I said, it is a coping mechanism for me. Journal what comes up. If silence makes you feel anxious or upset, or these uncomfortable feelings pop up, write down what's coming up for you. This will help you process instead of suppressing it again. So I tried to train my kids to fall asleep in silence because I didn't want them to depend on something as they grew older. And it pretty much worked. I didn't have noise machines. I think our daughter had like a little lamb that would play a song, but I only used it for a bit. I didn't raise them to have the TV on before bed. Matt has to have the TV on, and that drives me crazy. They have their fans, but one of our big things as parents, I always wanted to train them to be okay being bored and silent. It's tricky, especially in the world that we live in. You know, we're human and it doesn't always work, but we try. But I'm also really big on silence in the mornings. I don't like the TV on. I don't want music. I don't like to be talked to. I try to make an effort to not look at my phone. I just want quiet for a bit until I do my morning work, and then I turn on some classical music or some nature sounds in the background on YouTube. Matt likes to wake up and he'll look at his phone. He'll turn on some rock music, and I'm like, bro, what are we doing? And he's very, very talkative. He's a morning person. He's actually very happy in the mornings. I like silence, and I like to just kind of ease my way into the day. It's how I process. It's okay. We're totally different. So I kind of want to challenge you guys today. I want you to sit in silence for 5 minutes today. No distractions, no phones, just you. And when you start feeling uncomfortable, I want you to ask yourself, what am I actually feeling right now? What have I been avoiding? What would it take for silence to feel safe again? Because the truth is, if you can't sit in silence, there's something about yourself you haven't faced yet. But the second you stop running, that's when the real work is going to begin. So go sit in some damn silence, not because you have to, but because you deserve to be at peace with yourself. Silence isn't empty, it's full of answers if you're brave enough to listen. You're not a prisoner to your past. You are not stuck. You can rewire your brain. You can make silence your friend, and you can take your peace back. So today, I dare you, go sit in some damn silence, not because you have to, but because you can. It is a powerful challenge, and it is going to be uncomfortable. I understand. I hear you. I feel you. But it is an important, empowering process to get you through your healing journey. So that's all I have for this week, guys. Until next time, I'm Paige. Bye.